Okay.
Okay, let's get down to business.
Now we're back.
Now,
Because when I record to the cloud instead of my computer, I don't get separate audio channels. Maybe
right.
that's a setting I need to change in Zoom, but
Yeah.
it makes me lazy because I don't want to. There's no point in me editing because I edit us separately, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we talk over each other. Sometimes
Yes.
I make a weird noise. Sometimes you make a weird noise. I need to be able to
Hmm.
edit those individual sounds out. So if I accidentally record to the cloud or we only have one audio feed for some reason, sometimes there's just a glitch
Yeah.
and I have to use the combined one.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
don't really edit it because what can I do?
Right. Yes. What can we
I'm
do?
not I'm not a professional. Anyone who's listened to this podcast knows I'm not a professional just from the quality of the editing.
It's pretty, I mean, it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
It's not like we're getting paid for this quality. You know what I mean? Like we're not
right.
getting paid to like do this podcast, you guys. Like that would be so cool if we were. Like my our lives would be like so different and I
Yeah.
would go out to the movies maybe, and like I would actually
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, we would get to do all of the fun horror stuff. Instead,
Dude,
we get to stay at home in our PJs and just watch movies instead. Oh
yeah. Like
no.
the closest we're coming to like being way more serious is our joint Shutter account, which I think is
Yeah,
quite serious.
it is.
I
It
like it.
is very serious.
It
It's a
is
big
serious.
it's a big commitment.
It is a big one, yeah. So it's like our together streaming thing for just horror, which is like the movie that we watched. In
Yeah.
fact, in
Yeah,
fact.
which is a Shudder original.
Ooh.
Welcome to the Real Horror Show, a horror movie review podcast where we review horror movies from Netflix, Hulu, Shudder, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sam Odie.
And I'm your co-host, Stormy Skies.
Welcome to our podcast. Today we will be reviewing Stop Motion.
Stop
Sorry, I was not
motion.
prepared. In my defense, there was a cat napping on my lap, so I didn't get up the way I intended
Dude,
to
it's
work on
okay.
my notes.
My cat is here, like she's on the desk, so I hear
Yeah.
you.
Uh, Stop Motion is a 2023 British live action adult animated psychological horror film directed by Robert Morgan in his feature length debut from a screenplay he wrote with Robin King.
Feature. Wow, that's wow. This is his first one.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
And this is how we like to break it down: characters and acting, story and writing, and followed by production. And then we discuss the real horrors this movie addresses. Sometimes they're serious, and sometimes we like to have a little bit of goofy fun. That being said, we are a horror movie podcast, so here is a general trigger warning. We talk about death, blood, guts, and other unsavory topics that might not be suitable for everyone, although we try to do so sensitively. Listeners' discretion is advised. Movies are then rated on a scale of "what the fuck did I just watch?", which means there's no redeeming qualities to be found, meh, which means it's just okay, and "oh yeah, that fucked me up," which is what all horror should try to be.
Hell yeah.
So let's get started before I lose the ability to speak.
Yes.
Oh, so right off the bat, I feel
Oh.
like horror and stop motion have always coexisted in a way, but I've
Yeah.
never seen it fully utilized to create a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I want to say Henry Selick. Let me check real quick.
Yeah.
Not not Tim Burton. That's who I'm getting to. Um, yes, Henry Selick,
Yeah.
who is probably one of the most famous stop motion directors. Mainstream audiences know. I think at this point in time, we all know that Tim Burton is kind of a hack, and everything we attribute to Tim Burton comes from Henry Selick and the woman who is his costume designer. Her name escapes me. I think it's Caroline something, but
Mhm.
but so much of what people ascribe to Tim Burton, I think,
Yeah.
is really Henry Selick, because A Nightmare Before Christmas, The Corpse Bride, whenever
Yeah.
someone draws something in that Tim Burton style, it's really the Henry Selick style.
Right. Yes. That's a very good point and distinction to make.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
So
100% Tim Burton just because he directed it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Henry Selick directed Nightmare Before Christmas. Tim
Ah,
Burton's really the only role Tim Burton played was producing it, and it's based on
okay.
a short story or a poem he wrote.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay.
So
Well,
he
there
was
you
just the
go.
producer. But Henry
Ah,
Selick, he's the one that gave us A Nightmare Before Christmas, the what we love about it.
yeah.
Uh
Well, it's easy to get it twisted because see how I didn't even know.
yeah,
I just assumed it was
yeah,
Tim Burton.
yeah. James
Mhm.
and the Giant Peach.
Oh, whoa. That movie's wild. But yeah, that
And
is stop motion too. That is.
yeah,
Dang.
and Coraline.
Yeah, I have not seen Coraline.
You haven't seen Coraline,
I've
we should watch
not.
Coraline. That's
Ooh,
an
okay.
excellent children's horror movie.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, we can watch it.
It is that's fucking insane. And I
Yeah.
think Wendell and Wild, he just worked with other horror daddy Jordan Peele
Ooh.
on Wendell and Wild, but I don't. Oh no, it is actually stop motion. For some reason I thought it was CGI mimicking stop motion.
Oh,
So he did
rad.
just recently do another stop motion horror movie 2 years ago with Jordan Peele.
Sweet.
So that's really cool. So yeah, I feel like just the aesthetics of stop motion and horror do go hand in hand very well, also from the standpoint of practical effects.
Hmm.
A lot of practical effects are kind of stop motion in a way,
Yeah. Yes.
and we got that a lot with this movie.
Yeah,
I didn't
absolutely.
I was reading the IMDb page, so the explanations for a lot of these shots were like 3 paragraphs long, so I didn't take robust notes, but I do have like an idea of how they did a lot of those shots. And the stop motion in this is real. It wasn't CGI, it was actual stop motion.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Sweet.
that's that's just an overview of why I think stop motion is a good topic or even just a good format for horror after watching this.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
'Cause I wasn't sure how unsettling it would be, but it was pretty unsettling.
Yeah, it was unsettling. Like, okay, so I did think that the whole thing was gonna be like mostly stop motion stuff and like real disturbing, but like it was unsettling, but like it was a balance between the stop
Mhm.
motion movie and then her real life.
Yeah.
So I was not as freaked out as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I could have actually done with more of the stop motion scenes.
I agree, actually.
Those were definitely, like, the strong part of
Yeah.
the movie, but we'll get to that in just a second. Let's go ahead and break down, the characters. Our
Yeah.
main character, I already knew that we would have a stunning performance from Aisling, Fran Franci Franciosi,
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
saw her in The Nightingale a few years ago,
Uh-huh.
and she is just spectacular.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
She's incredible, and she carries this movie. I guess the other, like, main character highlight of the movie would be the little girl,
Oh, yeah.
was it Suzanne?
So yeah, Suzanne Blake.
Okay, Suzanne. She was fantastic as well. I really liked her. I knew that she was a figment of Ella's imagination right away because whoever did the casting, I don't know if they intended it this way. They look so much alike. I was waiting for the reveal that she was being haunted by the younger version of herself.
Wait, Suzanne is the mom. The little girl
Suzanne's
doesn't have a name.
the little girl doesn't have any. Okay, well,
My bad.
little girl.
Little
Oh,
girl.
I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce this because just by the spelling, I know it's gonna
Yeah.
be an Irish name,
Yeah, like
and
Caroline Lynn.
yeah, I'm not gonna have any Irish people yell at me for how I say it. But the
Yeah,
little
sorry
girl
guys.
was spectacular.
Yeah.
She was creepy. She was charming. Although I would not let her into my house, I would not be alone with a child ever. That is
Yeah,
not
for
mine.
real.
That is
Yeah.
not related to me by blood.
Yeah, for real. They're like real weird. Drop the juice
Especially if I'm a
boxes.
stop motion animator.
Dude, yeah.
Like, you fuck up a stop motion scene, that's like 3 years of work.
I know, right? Yeah.
Um,
God.
But yeah, let's go back to Suzanne. Suzanne is Ella's mother,
The mom.
who is hinted at to be a little abusive. I don't think physically necessarily, but definitely emotionally
Yeah.
abusive. She's a stop motion artist. Probably,
Yeah.
I think she's like a very famous stop motion artist in the world of this movie. And she
Yes.
can no longer do the manual task of posing her figures. So,
Yeah.
um, she uses her daughter to do that to complete her most recent film.
Yes. Which is
And
a Cyclops film.
it is a Cyclops film, and, um, yeah, she was very intimidating, very domineering,
Yeah.
uh, had the vibes of what I imagine a stop motion animator would have, because I have the utmost respect for stop motion animators, especially after watching this movie and being reminded of how much goes into making a stop motion film.
Yeah, I had no idea before
It's literally
that it's
we
like
see
that.
we see right before the mother has her stroke, we see it's move it 2 millimeters. No, 2 millimeters. No, 2 millimeters.
Yeah, and then take the picture and then move it again and then take the picture all day
Yeah.
and it's like the tiniest movement.
Yeah. So these movies are very expensive. They're very time consuming. They take
Yeah.
like 5 years to finish, which
Yeah,
is
for real
why
they do.
when we watch Coraline, which we should because I think they have an anniversary, a big like 4K restoration anniversary coming up.
Yeah, they do it
Um,
like the movie theater. I think it's coming out, man. Am
yeah,
I
so we should
right?
definitely watch it.
Dude, yeah.
And knowing the work Henry Selick put into that movie and knowing like how visually stunning it is, like
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah, let's do it then, man.
I barely have the patience to sit down and write.
I know, I couldn't imagine.
Just
Yeah, but like being able to be immersed in that like every
yeah.
day,
And then
all day.
heaven forbid if you sneeze and just
I know.
ruin it all.
I know. Yeah. Oh my
But
gosh. Yeah.
anyway, segueing into the story, Ella's
Yeah.
mom has a stroke, and that's the catalyst for Ella slowly losing her sanity, trying
Yeah.
to at first finish her mother's film, but the little ghost girl doesn't like her mother's film. She thinks it's boring. I
Mhm.
get what the mother was going for.
Yeah.
Um,
But I
was
agree.
it
It's
well
like too much.
was it well executed? I don't know, but would I have gotten that story from what we saw presented? Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
not.
but the little girl is like, I have a better idea for a story. And so Ella begins working with this little girl to bring her story to life about the little girl in the woods running away from the Ash Man.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, and so the story of the Ash Man and the little girl is running away from him in the woods and he's chasing after her because he wants to eat her. He wants her flesh.
Yeah.
And she seeks refuge in an abandoned cabin and he comes to her 3 times. First night he sees her, second night he touches her, and then I don't think we ever really find out what happens on the third night because of how the movie ends.
I think it's he eats her.
Yeah, I think that's the conclusion. But that's not the real ending that the little
No.
girl wanted.
Right. So you're right. So then I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah,
it's supposed to be.
yeah. Ella has a boyfriend who's very loving and very supportive, and um,
Tom, whose name
yeah,
is
Tom.
Tom. His name is Tom in real life, which cracks me
Yeah.
up.
His sister's a bitch though, but we'll get to her in a
Yeah, fuck
second.
her.
um, Tom, it was kind of refreshing in this kind of psychological horror movie where the boyfriend doesn't bail out like halfway through.
Yeah, how about that? He sticks
He
around.
he stuck around even towards the end when Ella was in the hospital and said you don't make music, you just put on a suit and go to work. He was upset, but he was still very concerned about her and said, "We're going to go to the apartment. I'm coming with you and we're going to clean up this film. You need to stop working on it." And
Yeah.
I just maybe I'm making this up, but I just feel like in psychological horror movies where the woman is losing her mind, the partner always like bails out for half of the movie
They
until
do.
until he shows up at the end to die.
Right. Yeah, he'll bail out and be like, "You're acting crazy."
Yeah. But
Or
he
like,
was
"You're
there for
weird."
her the
Yeah,
whole
he
time, which
was.
I thought was refreshing.
Yes, yeah, I think so too. It really was.
And I think that helped like show the message of really putting yourself into your art and losing yourself in it is
Yeah.
how you can lose everyone around you because you're so like compulsively working on this project. And while I'm not like that and you're not like that, there are artists who get overconsumed by their
Dude,
passions in their
yeah.
work.
I couldn't I couldn't imagine what that feels like because like I feel like you and I understand it's like really hard to focus sometimes for long periods of time, even on stuff we love to do,
Yeah.
you know? So like I couldn't imagine like waking up and like just doing that all day and then
Yeah.
going and like sleeping in the same room. You know what I mean? Like that's to me that's like I don't think I could get there if I tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is good probably.
Yeah, it's good that we're not like ripping out our arteries for our work.
Yeah, Jesus, what was that, like, her muscle or something? I don't a
I don't
tendon?
know. David was watching with me and he was like, "What did she pull out of her?" I think it was like either a muscle
Jesus.
or a tendon.
Yeah, something. I thought
Um,
yeah, I don't fucking know. It's gross,
but
grossed me
yeah,
out.
um,
Yeah.
so because she's getting obsessive, Tom is like, "Hey, you need to take a break from this film. Why don't you get a day job to, take your mind off of it, take your
Mhm.
mind off of your mother in the hospital, slowly dying." And she goes to work for his sister who works in advertising. And his sister had come to check on her earlier in the film,
Yeah.
and saw the creepy film she was working on. And at this point, I don't think she had added like the meat or the dead fox. She had added the dead fox, but not to the sister's knowledge.
Yes, yes.
But she finds out that the sister stole her idea to use in a commercial, and she just loses her shit. And even then, the
Yeah.
boyfriend didn't leave her. Like,
Yeah. That's a sister, but still, but, like, she
yeah,
shouldn't
that's
have
usually
done
the
that.
breaking point.
I know, but she fucking stole her idea.
Yeah, no, bitch deserved it.
And she straight up was like, "Yeah, I did." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I offered you a chance, but Ella didn't want to work in adverts because that would kill her soul, and we saw how it would kill her soul when she arrives and finds out that the first thing they want her to do is make 100 eyeballs all the same size,
Yeah.
which is another
God.
huge aspect of the stop motion claymation
Yeah.
uh format is everything needs to be the same size and you have to have 30 different models of the characters and god, no wonder she went insane.
I know, that's wild.
Yeah,
Oh,
so sister's a bitch
yeah.
and the little that's just in the real world. In the apartment world where she's animating the film, we have the little girl who keeps telling her the story and says, "No, the doll's not good enough." Pulls out a
Yeah.
steak from the cabinet
Yeah, and I was like, "Okay."
and which is apparently I read this on the IMDb page. That is a technique some one very famous stop
Ah,
motion artist used is they would use like real meat on their
huh.
puppets.
I
So
understand, yeah.
that is a thing.
Look
So she adds it to
fleshy.
the yeah,
Yeah.
she adds it to the little girl because the Ash Man wants the little girl's flesh.
Yeah.
But then the ghost girl says, "No, the Ash Man isn't good enough. He
Ooh.
needs to be made of something dead." So she leads Ella out to the woods where they find a dead fox. And at first, Ella's resistant, but then she sees the girl's vision and agrees.
Yeah.
And the boyfriend after that night finds her passed out on the apartment floor and is like, "Okay, how about you come stay with me for a little while?" And
Right,
she
yeah.
does, and he's not completely grossed out by the dead fox that she skinned to turn into a stop motion puppet. He's a little weirded out, but that's just her art. She's just going through something.
Yeah, exactly.
And we see that she does mentally improve when she's away from the project, but she can't stay away. She's obsessed.
Yes. Yes, she absolutely is.
So she's eventually led back to the apartment, and um this whole time she's also starting to be haunted by the Ash Man, and she refuses the little girl's demand on what happens on the second day and says no, on the second day she escapes.
Yeah.
But the Ash Man is like, the fuck she does.
Ooh, yeah.
And we get that
Ooh,
incredible sequence
yeah,
of
my favorite part.
the human Ash Man chasing after her, and then her legs break. They're
Yeah.
made of wax suddenly, and they just collapse. That was so good.
I know, that was wild. And I was like, oh
Uh,
shit.
yeah, that was something I wasn't expecting, was that
Yeah.
this movie would turn into a body horror. And
Yes. Oh my God, yes, it did. I didn't expect that either.
I loved that effect. That was such a freaky effect that I was not expecting. And
Yeah.
it was very well done, and we never really get like a good look at the full size human Ash Man, but what we do see is so grotesque.
Yes.
Such a well designed creature for this
I
movie.
know. It's a man. It's like a
Yeah.
guy in a costume. It's like a
Yeah.
horror guy. It's like nice.
Yep. Um was
And
that
he like,
I'm getting
well,
my order of events
no,
mixed up.
yeah, like that's what happened. Her legs broke
Yeah.
and she like turned into a
Well,
wax figure and crawled into the wall to hide.
yeah, but I also remembered, I think while she was at her boyfriend's house, and one of the reasons
Um,
she went back to the project is when
um,
the little doll comes through the door and climbs onto the bed and cuts her leg open.
yes. Oh, yes.
There was that sequence, and that's one of the sequences I remember vaguely reading about on the IMDb page last night. Is that was stop motion, and she wasn't actually laying there. They just used a human like leg model for
Yeah,
that scene
yeah.
so they could stop motion animate it.
Oh, cool.
So very the effects in this movie are very well done.
They are.
And we haven't even gotten to the best part at
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Um,
I can picture what part that you
yeah.
liked.
So after a series of events, she ends up in the hospital. Her boyfriend begs her to stop, and she says no. Her mother dies, and that's kind of like the last thread of sanity she has. She
Yeah.
returns to the apartment to finish the film with the little girl, and but it's not perfect. It needs more. And the little girl persuades her to rip open the gash wound on her leg that she got from like falling down the stairs or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, whatever she did.
Yeah. Because I stopped paying attention to the plot. It's all about the body horror at this point.
Dude, I don't even know how she got that wound because like it's very unclear.
Yeah, and
She like
she
goes to
doesn't know
that
how
party. Yeah,
she
she goes to
doesn't
the
know how she got
party
it.
and like yeah, and then she like is tripping on acid, but she's not. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what's happening anymore. So
And so she removes the stitches from the gash in her leg and rips open the wound. And it's so bloody and it's so gross, but it's so well done, and rips out a tendon. And as she's doing this and literally about to bleed to death, the sister and the boyfriend come in, and he's like, "Oh shit, what the fuck are you doing?" And they
yeah.
immediately jump to the rescue. They tie off the bleeding wound, and she's like, "No,
Mhm.
stop, don't." And she pushes him down the stairs, beats
Yeah.
the shit out of the sister with the camera,
And then like it
stat
crushes the camera through her neck.
crushes
Right.
the camera through her neck, and then goes back down. And in a very poetic moment, you see at the beginning of the film, she woke up her boyfriend in a very normal way by holding his nose shut until he woke
Dude,
up.
that like I was like, that's fucked up.
Yeah. But that's how she kills him in the end.
I know. I was like, wow, well, how about that?
So then she
Jesus.
somehow manages to carry their bodies back to the apartment, and the little girl is like, "Oh, this is so much better than the puppets." So she makes life-size puppets out of their corpses.
She just like she goes so fast and works through the night.
Yeah. And then the movie begins to reach its climax, and we're about to find out what happens to the little meat girl.
Yeah.
But the Ash Man turns, and comes after Ella instead, and the little girl's like, "This isn't what happens. This isn't how it ends."
Yeah, and we're like, "Oh, shit."
But then Ella knows that this is how it has to end, and she allows the Ash Man to eat her flesh, and this is probably the
Mhm.
coolest effect in this movie is she reaches up and her face is suddenly made out of mortician wax as she
Yeah.
begins ripping it off to feed to him, and
Oh,
that effect was so seamless.
it was, and then he just began to just eat her
Yeah,
face. And
it was so gnarly, and it wasn't even like bloody or gory, but just like the seamlessness of her face suddenly being waxed that she's ripping off was so
yeah,
good.
I know. Yeah, but then there was the very end, which I am assuming was her death,
Yes.
essentially.
Yeah, so
Okay.
after that, she's now in the woods that she was animating, and she goes to the cabin where the little girl is waiting for her. And we see on the monitor that I think she definitely did kill Tom and the sister.
Yeah.
Um, but I think everything after that didn't actually happen. I think she just bled out on the floor from, ripping out an artery.
Right. Yeah. I think she just
So
died.
we see the video of her bleeding out on the floor, and
Yeah.
she understands what's happened and gets into a box lined with silk, which a coffin. Like visually that my mind immediately went to coffin.
My mind went to
What?
her mom described her as not being in control of anything and how she's just a puppet. And so
Oh.
that's actually like a marionette case, but also her
Oh.
coffin.
That's a
Um,
good one.
so I believe that that is what she's saying because her mom said, like, like you can have your fun, but like whenever someone's done with you, they just put you away.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she just put herself away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how the movie ends. And David was like, "What
Straight
happened in
up.
that movie?"
Yeah. It straight up did end though. She like closed the
Yeah.
thing and it was over. And I was like, oh, okay, it's over. Yeah.
And
I was
you
like,
know
oh,
what? That's a
that's
good question my husband asked.
what do you
Uh,
say?
because this movie was insane,
Yeah.
and I could understand not getting it if you're not like
Right.
an artist.
Yeah. Yes.
Because like I got like where that insanity was coming from. She was trying to create this perfect magnum opus project and
Yeah.
coming to the realization that it wasn't even her idea, it was this little girl's idea. But
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
was the little girl? We don't know who the
Right.
little girl was.
We don't. Yeah. It's probably um her mother also did describe that she has a morbid sense of like she has like a morbid imagination. So I
Uh-huh.
think that the little girl is just like her imagination that she tries to
Yeah.
like shut out because it's too fucked up.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
whenever, yeah, and her mom was like, what's the idea that you have? And she couldn't even say it because it would probably scare her or something. So she just
Yeah.
like squelched her own creativity.
Yeah. And then it
Yeah.
erupted into what we see in this movie.
Right. So she was right to do that.
Yes.
Because she's out of
Um,
control.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, as for the production of this film, I think it was very well produced. I
Oh, it was
thought
great.
it
Oh
was
my
so
gosh.
good. I
Yeah.
thought the effects of,
Oh, excellent.
her legs turning to wax, her face turning to wax, those were all very seamless and so shocking to see.
Dude, yeah, everything was excellent. It was like I was watching like $1 million, you know what I mean? Like a very expensive movie.
Yeah.
Everything was excellent.
Yeah, and knowing that this director I think has a background in stop motion, so
Yeah.
being able to use that art form to create some truly unsettling imagery is
Yeah.
incredible, and it worked so well. Um, I wish I could see some of these effects for the first time again
Yeah. Yeah.
because they were just grotesque.
I know. It was
Uh,
excellent.
Loved the surprise body horror at the end.
Yeah. I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah,
That's why I think it was so grossing me out so much. I was like, gosh, shit, I
yeah.
really wasn't prepared for this in my mind.
When she when she becomes the wax figure, it makes sense, but it was good. It was very well
Yeah,
done.
I know, right?
Um, yeah. Let's see. Oh, other production notes. I liked that she wasn't a complete loner. Oh, that's more of a story note. I like that she wasn't just a weirdo artist living alone her entire life. She
Yeah.
did seem to have a good social life.
Yeah, I did appreciate that because I really was gonna assume that she just like lived with her mom and like did nothing
Yeah.
else. But no,
No, she had a
yeah.
great social life. She had a great group of friends. She
Yeah,
had a great
boyfriend.
boyfriend. So I guess maybe that's my segue into this production note. The music in this movie was very good.
Oh, I thought it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All in all,
Yeah.
I think this was a very well done little horror movie, and I'm glad horror talk pointed me in its direction
Yeah, I have a
because
production note too.
yeah,
It was did you notice that like they were doing a lot of cool stuff because you mentioned the music, like the audio, like all the time there'd be like moments where like when she wasn't like with it, like the audio would be like muted or like super far
yeah,
away sounding and like
yeah,
that I never heard that happen so much in a movie. I was like, wow, this is cool. I'm like trying to like listen, it's like made you focus more,
yes,
made you pay attention to her more.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so
I
that was
caught that.
another I just
I also
yeah.
liked the sound design of the stop motion parts of the movie that we did get to
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Just I want to see like the full like movie she was making. It
I
was
know
so
the full one with
creepy.
no pauses. I
Yeah.
know.
Like there was no dialogue, so you just get like the little girl's fearful
I know, like the
crying
whimpering, yeah, the
and the
crying.
breathing and the footsteps. Oh, it was so good. I'd love to see the full thing.
Yeah, I know, me too. That you think like somebody might have like put that together on YouTube or something.
Maybe I'll look for it and let you know on
Mm,
the mini show.
okay, yeah, that'd be
And
cool.
also, I guess production wise, the design of the dolls was excellent.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Very creepy.
Very creepy.
They're
Yeah.
creepy and they look amateurish because she is an amateur stop
Yeah.
motion artist.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
like
they just looked gross.
yeah,
Or like,
very gross, very
ugh.
fleshy.
Yeah, yeah, just gross and dirty. But like, yeah, that was cool about it. And
Yeah.
how about the one part where like when the guy did come to life, he like fed her like
Yeah.
something.
Oh yeah, the egg.
The egg, is
That
that what that I was like, what is it? The
yeah,
egg.
that was something David asked was what does that mean? I'm like, "Oh, I think it's just her finally like cracking or something."
Yes,
Because
she
it was
ate
an egg and it cracked at the end.
it
So
did crack at the end. So I was like, what is it? That was too sexy though.
yeah.
But I was like, ooh, cool. So that was interesting. Anyway, I don't think that that's everything though. Except
Yeah.
the last little bit. Yeah.
Uh realistic aspects moving right along. We're making great
Ooh,
time.
we are making great time. Realistic aspects.
Being lost in your work.
Being lost in your work. Also, like, no, that, and then the other end of the spectrum, which is like not being able to like come up with anything
Yeah,
and like feeling
writer's block.
bad. Yeah, like feeling bad. So it's like, oh, I just like move stuff around, but like you tell me like your great ideas because everyone else is a genius, but not me.
Yeah.
And try to live into in the shadow of like your parent who's like the best ever,
Right.
uh, and stuff. So that
Someone stealing your idea
dude, yeah, artist stealing
and making it much
ideas.
worse than the
Yeah,
original.
I know. Yeah, the fuck. So definitely that. And uh just I feel like everything else is so wild, but
Yeah.
oh, you know what? How about only having like when you're doing this thing, it's very realistic to like have job outlets that like you have to do, but they'll never fulfill you. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
she was a stop
Oh
motion
yeah.
artist and she wanted to make her movie and stuff, but they're like, well, you got to make money, so you have to make eyeballs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
But
Um,
like I'm sure if she stuck with it, she would have gotten to
right.
animate at some point.
Yeah. But she just like I don't even want to fucking go in there.
Yeah.
And
I
but
would
that's
say
understandable too.
that's a very
Totally.
rent mentality.
Yeah.
You know, and Rent, when you
Mhm.
watch it when you're younger, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, these artists standing up to
Yeah.
the man. But when you're a broke
Hmm.
adult actually working in the art industries,
Yeah.
Why wouldn't these stupid bohemian artists take
R
the incredible deal Benny is offering them?
Yeah, yeah. No.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So that is realistic in that aspect. Everything else, possibly, like, just like being like like an eccentric person, or like being an artist, but also like having to like give up your like being social, or like
Yeah.
having any life outside of like what you're doing in order to make it perfect. Like being obsessed with perfection.
Yeah.
I suppose that could happen in extreme cases. Uh everything being a person who's like, I'm a musician, and then like not actually like doing music.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
we
he
don't really
even
know what
did.
he was doing.
No, he just went to work.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I do my music video. I'm like, what music? So that's kind of, yeah.
Ye
That's everything I can think of for
I think that's all I
realistic.
have too.
Nothing else happened because it was so linear that it was just like a span of like maybe a couple days a week or so, and
Mhm.
that's all we got.
Yeah.
So that's cool. All right, well, how would you grade this
I'm gonna give it an,
movie?
"Aw, yeah, it fucked me up," because this
Dude,
was a
say
very original concept, and just the body horror at the end was so well done.
yeah, I wasn't expecting that, as we talked about. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Oh yeah, that fucked me up because it
So
did.
seamless.
It was, and it fucked me up. I was worried about the stop motion stuff being too creepy, and it was creepy, but I wasn't like disturbed deeply. But the whole movie itself, it was like really excellent. So really, really great um movie.
Hell
Sorry,
yeah.
it's late and I'm trying to like
Yeah.
figure out what I'm trying to say here.
No.
I recommend you watch it. Yes, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. Recommend you watch it. And
Absolutely check it
she was
out.
excellent. Yeah. Our actress, main character, excellent,
She's
excellent.
wonderful. I can't wait to see her in more stuff.
I know, me too, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, me and Sam are tired, so it's time for bed. time,
Yeah.
time for snacks. All right. So you ready for the outro then, Sam?
I am.
All right, cool. Me too. So thanks for tuning in to our episode. We are the Real Horror Show podcast. Our host is Sam Odie, and I'm the co-host, Stormy Skies. The podcast was created by Sam Odie and Stormy Skies and is directed, edited, and produced by Sam Odie. You can find Sam on Instagram at Sam is Writing Stuff. You can find Stormy on Instagram at The Stormy Skies. You can find the Real Horror Show podcast on Spotify, TuneIn, iTunes, Google Play Store, Pandora, and anywhere you stream your podcasts. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you're always in the know when a new episode comes out. Follow us on social media. You can find the Real Horror Show podcast on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, and yes, Twitter too. We do more than just podcasts. We love to write and have plenty of great movie reviews and essays, all of which can be found on our website, realhorrorshow.com. We love hearing from our listeners. You can ask us a question or send us a movie request to review by DMing us on social media, or you can even send us an email at realhorrorshowpodcast@gmail.com. Call for guests. Do you love horror movies? Are you a podcaster, a content creator, a movie lover, or anyone in between who is a listener to our show? We would love to have you as a guest on one of our episodes. Reach out to us via social media DM or email us at realhorrorshowpodcast@gmail.com. Our podcast episodes featuring guests are all listed on our website, realhorrorshow.com. We are so thankful for all of our listeners. You are the life force of our podcast, and we wouldn't really exist without you. Thank you all for making this podcast real and supporting us as we record every week. You can support us in different ways, such as liking and sharing our podcast episodes on social media. Giving us a review will help the podcast more than you know and will help other listeners find it too. You can also donate to Real Horror Show by visiting our support page on our website, where you can make a one-time donation via PayPal, buy us a coffee with the buy us a coffee button, or explore our very interesting Amazon wish list. And any other pertinent news.
Um, Not immediately. Everybody should go check out the Michael's Halloween sections as always. They're
Ah,
out already.
yes. Yes,
Uh,
Sam was texting me the other evening about it
it's
because she
just
was so worked up.
I was mildly worked up because without fail, every year
Yeah.
Michael's has one section of
Uh-huh.
like pastel Halloween decor.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
this year, it's hippie Halloween, which
Ah,
it's okay. I'm not a fan of the color palette, but
ah,
there's some cute stuff in it.
okay.
It's like a orangey
Mhm.
and magenta color palette, and that's not
Huh.
really my
Not
vibe.
your
That's
style.
not
Yeah,
my
not your style.
cup of tea.
No.
But every year
Absolutely.
it's like, why is there pastel Halloween stuff? Halloween's supposed to be scary. We know it's supposed to be scary, but one, if you're shopping for scary stuff at Michael's,
Right.
what are you doing in the first place? Two, there are people who want the pastel stuff. I think
Dude, yeah,
whoever
year
came up with
round
the pastel section is a genius
is
because they
brilliant.
clearly know
Yeah.
that there is a demographic who wants this shit, and that demographic is me
Yeah.
because it's really the same shit you can get in the other sections, just in different colors.
Different colors. Yeah, lighter colors. So you can do it like year round
Yeah.
and stuff, you
So I
know?
yeah, so I can get
Yeah.
like a pink skull and it's not as weird to have in my office as this white hyper realistic skull.
Yeah, a
But
Halloween skull. Yeah, you know.
but but never do I ever see, alt people bitching about the pastel section.
Yeah.
It's always the Disney moms and
Mm.
the I don't want to use this word, the fucking
Mhm.
normies
The
bitching
normies.
about it.
Ah.
And they're like, it's for one, people who have a solid aesthetic that they don't want to change for how they don't want to change, but they still want to decorate for Halloween. I
Yeah.
respect it.
Uh-huh.
And it's for people like me who I love pastel goth. If I knew about pastel goth earlier in life before I was set in my fashion ways, I would
Yeah,
probably be a
dude.
pastel goth.
Yes.
Because I described my aesthetic today as like a skull with a bow on.
Yeah, that's basically exactly how I would describe you too.
So I love it because for the reasons I said, the decorations in the pastel section feel like they can be spooky and displayed all year round.
Yes, yeah.
And
Yeah.
Michael's
Especially
this
here.
year,
Yeah.
sorry, Michael's this year has a stunning like white and gray aisle,
Oh, yeah.
where
Okay.
everything is like either white or a very muted gray. And I would say
Oh,
that's for like the creepy cottagecore girls.
yeah. All
Um,
right.
some mushrooms. I just ordered gorgeous skull,
Yeah.
this gorgeous skull that has glitter pouring out of an eye socket and a pearl in
Oh, you
it.
got it. That's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was,
I had
yeah.
to order it. It was on sale on the website, so I ordered
Nice.
it.
That's cool.
And it's so pretty. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I had to get it for my new office.
Yeah, that's awesome. I will have to
Yeah.
go to Michael's
Yeah, that section is very pretty.
soon.
And then they have the section they've always had, like the Edgar Allan
Edgar Allan
Poe
Poe. Yeah.
section. So
Yes.
but
Perfect.
I really appreciate Michael's offering different
Yeah,
Halloween decoration aesthetics.
I love it. Thank
I
you,
think that is
Michael's.
such
Never
like a good
change.
idea
It is.
because not all creepy people dress the same.
Right. Like, so you describe yourself as like a skull with a pink bow.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so I describe, like the emoji that it's like the emoji, but there's like, it's almost like it's disappearing in a cloud of smoke.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's like me, but like a skull disappearing in a cloud. You know what I
Well,
mean? So,
then you're gonna love their new white and gray section.
yeah. I like to describe
Yeah.
myself as stealth goth.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and then Sam is pastel goth, but sometimes stealth pastel goth.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
mostly just a normie, but now that fall's rolling
yeah.
around and I can
Oh,
comfortably wear
it's all gonna
black
change.
again.
Yep, it's all gonna change. It always changes with the seasons with us as well. Like
Yeah.
for like warm, I'm like can be very like boho,
Yeah.
or very normy, like
Yeah.
nor just like basic colors and
Yeah.
stuff.
It's just
But
we need to I really need our future president Kamala Harris and
yeah.
Vice President Tim Walz to
Hmm.
address the real issue of global warming. Is
Yeah.
the hotter it gets, the more and more we are at risk for losing our greatest asset, which is hot goth girls.
Yes. guys, so like for real, we got to keep the goth girls because they're coming out soon. They're gonna getting ready to emerge.
Yeah.
Oh, well, speaking of that, what I'm sorry guys, this is all pertinent news, but what was it hot today where you live? Like what was the temperature today?
It was pretty hot. It was back up in
Dude,
the 80s. Our false fall did not last very long.
yeah. Well, guess what? It was fucking 91 degrees here for some reason.
I'm
And
sorry, that's bullshit.
it is, you see what I mean? Yeah, it is bullshit. And tomorrow too, right? So like what the
Yeah, I
fuck?
think tomorrow is going to be back in the 90s for us. Yeah, tomorrow is a
Yeah,
high of 92.
right? See what I'm saying? Isn't that bullshit? So it is bullshit. So
Yeah, we've got to
well,
we've got to protect our goth brethren.
yeah.
It's getting too hot for this
It's
shit.
fucking wild. All right, I want to like
Anyway,
switch to my fall wardrobe. What the fuck am I supposed to
yeah.
do? Wait another month?
Yeah.
Okay. Shit. Well, anyway.
Anyway, that was all
Back to
pertinent news.
Yeah, that was per news. Anyway, back to regular business news. Go ahead and watch the next episode of The Haunting of Hill House, which I don't even know what episode 5
We're on 5.
we're on.
It will be
Nellie's
Victoria.
episode.
Nellie's episode, not Victoria.
Victoria.
Victoria's
Yeah,
the
Victoria
actress.
Pedretti. Yes, absolutely. That is who it is. So it's her episode.
It's her episode. Finally.
Yeah, Ben Lady says I remember that episode, so that was really cool. So watch that. We'll talk about it later. And our outro song is called Creepy Doll by Jonathan Colton, and he can be found at jonathancolton.com. Thank you, fuck off, and have a swell evening. This is Real Horror Show signing off.
Bye.
Bye bye.
And there's a creepy doll that always follows